Alright, now to the Zordoom prison on planet Viceron. Not to be confused with the prison from Regiment Clank, which we don't know where it is.
Ratchet, please understand. The Dimensionator must be destroyed.
Why? Because your imaginary friends told you so?
Ratchet? Clank? Did I call it a bad time?
Kinda.
No. Your timing was perfect, Qwark. Did you get the holographic schematics of Zordoom we asked for?
No need for holographs, Ratchet. I happen to be a skilled schematic artist, trained at the prestigious Qwark Learning Annex. Behold!
Be still,
Yep,
beating
it's
heart.
the return of
Prison,
Qwark
a
Studios.
dangerous dungeon of dastardly denizens, death and destruction.
I'll admit
A
that
deadly
drawing
den
is
of
better
genius
than I
desperados
thought it
damaged
would
by
be,
decades of
honestly.
I guess
Ah, there we go.
he's improved over the years.
To infiltrate this fortified fortress of fear, our agents, codenamed
He's
Dead
better
Meat,
at drawing
will make
buildings
his way
than he
along the
is
grind
people,
rail of
evidently.
certain death, traverse the walkway of tortured souls, and ascend the grav ramp into the mouth of the Jolly Jackal. While I direct the operation from my townhouse of solitude, our agent will jump down the elevator shaft to the lair of eternal sorrow. It is here he will be confronted by an army of Tachyon troopers, a battalion of embattled bandits, and an entire school of zombie ninja panda bears. Good luck,
You made that
Talwyn.
last bit up,
May you
didn't
die
you?
a glorious hero's
Talwyn,
death.
what the fuck?
But he's alive in that picture.
Yeah, let's just go with that.
So yeah, I see we've got some drama in the story about Ratchet maybe having to destroy the Dimensionator,
Again, unlike with the first game, I argue it's a bit more elegant here. Again, for starters, Ratchet is going through some levels of emotions here. While in the first game, his apathy was more justified because he had spent a lot of time, wanting to be a hero, and then, at the last second, when he was saying I think was a bad idea, he got told by Clank's naivety, and they paid the price for that. So, him being pissed still made a bit more sense, but it came a bit, right in the middle of things. Here, Ratchet is literally learning about, stuff that he didn't knew up until very recently about his entire species, something that apparently did not know in his entire life, and then Clank tells him that, something that only he can see, tells him that the one thing that could help potentially find where the long boxes are should not be actually used. Yeah, I can kind of see why Ratchet will be at the very least annoyed by that. You will see actually where this ends up, going, especially because, unlike with the first game, it doesn't go too far, It eventually needs to have a stop, and Ratchet realizing that Clank is right, because us, the audience, we know that he is correct by the fact that he sees the Zoni. So.
The game ends with Ratchet pulling a Doctor Who twin dilemma and strangling Clank to death.
Remind me again, Dweebs, I forgot. What era of the Doctor was that?
The very start of the Sixth Doctor.
Oh, right. Yeah, that is... I keep forgetting, that up until the Big Finish audio, everyone hated the Sixth Doctor. Probably because of that.
From what I hear, Big Finish is basically like the big redeeming point for any
Big
Doctor
Finish
that
is
people
basically
didn't like.
the equivalent of the expanded universe of Star Wars, for Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's been going on since 1999, and it's still going. And they even and they still have surviving Doctors actors come back for it.
Basically, because it's a radio drama, an audio drama, sorry, it has the advantage that it doesn't need to have the actor's physical appearance mattering. So, as long as your voice is good to go, we can just bring you back, and to just pretend that this happened, at a specific point in time, which is very appreciated, Apparently, some particular episodes also took advantage of the medium. Like one, for example, Linkara talked about it when he covered a bit of the audio, where, for example, one where the Eighth Doctor and his band companion at the time find themselves having to deal with a creature that is made of sound entirely, and they are blinded, so, the medium is literally going through that kind of way. So that's pretty neat. Again, they are good time if you wanna, if you're a fan of Doctor Who and just wanna, pass
Please
some
take
time.
appropriate safety measures.
The one I've listened to the most are a couple of episodes of a show called I, Davros. Basically about Davros, the creator of the Daleks' origin story.
From what I hear about the end of the latest Doctor series, that's gonna need a major Big Finish patch up to get audiences to chill out. Cause
as of now, they've only just started doing 13th Doctor stories.
It's a shame, really. It sounds like the 15th Doctor got done super dirty, which, to be fair, wasn't even the actor's fault, but he can't really wait around long enough for Disney to stop hemming and hawing, and oh boy, who he regenerated into has certainly gotten the fans
if that's
buzzing.
the direction, if that's the direction they're going in, we'll go. We don't know much yet. I mean, there is a spin-off coming out later this year or next year.
Mechanic to the loading docks.
And also,
that's about it, right?
Again, people were speculating already, by the time of the Capaldi era, but pretty much the episode The Timeless Child, which is one of the more contentious, pretty much put a definitive answer to why the Doctor, despite being a Time Lord, can regenerate more than what it was established. So it's just, convenient use. It's just that, the way we got to that in time part to explain the backstory of the Doctor obviously would be inevitably be polarizing because, the Doctor has gone through a fuck ton of decades with the mystique of the character, and people not knowing exactly what the origin story was. And our just as many, arguing that there was no need to know. That the mystique in itself was potentially important on its own. And so, if it eventually gets revealed, obviously not everyone is going to be pleased.
It's just insane how Russell T Davies has gone from what many people consider the savior of the franchise to now some people cursing him as the doomer of the franchise, because apparently the ending of the 15th Doctor series is just that controversial. I don't know the full details, but I know most of the big chunks, like, oh, it's the classic return of this long-lost villain, essentially, to mixed success. The bi-generation stuff, oh boy, the bi-generation stuff, that one I definitely remember people hemming and hawing about.
And that one of the best scenes in the episode was the return of the 13th Doctor.
Yeah, which says a lot. Mind you, I never hated her either, but, like, from what I know, Big Finish did its thing and has really helped her reputation out.
I mean, it's only just I think that's only just started.
What I still wonder, because I haven't seen it yet, is how that video game that they were working that involved her and either 10 or 11, I forgot which specific other incarnation, ended up being. Nobody really talked about it, even to say that it was bad. I'll need to check out.
I love how some people are speculating that to try and, tone down the backlash that the end of the 15th Doctor series is getting, that they're thinking, okay, number 17 is going to be David Tennant again.
Well, that was mostly the joke of a franchise ever since, the bi-generation thing happened. The thing about, let's bring back David Tennant again in another role, like he's gonna be the new Davros.
I mean, given that technically the 14th Doctor is still kind of sort of alive and out there.
Yeah, and to be fair, the main reason they did that was because Ncuti Gatwa, who was going to be the 15th Doctor, wasn't available for a good chunk of filming those specials, so they had to try and get a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it really just helped all along because David Tennant was the powerhouse of charisma. And yeah, 13th Doctor series, no shock against the actress, she tried her best, but 13th Doctor series was definitely not well liked, which is definitely more so a fault of the writing, honestly.
The thing that was kind of the most funny about the 14th one was that they kept going on about how 14 looks really tired and that, but you have David Tennant still being his energetic self in his early 50s. That's a bit weird.
David Tennant just seems to be full of eternal energy. Honestly, he doesn't even look that much different from when he played the 10th Doctor, if you ask me.
I've also recently watched a couple of early Stephen Moffat era episodes.
Go on.
The best one so far being the very first one, the 11th hour.
Okay, Dwibs, I gotta ask. With the backlash at the end of the 15th Doctor series, is Russell T Davies on his way to becoming the next Stephen Moffat? You know, praised at the start but hated by the end.
Well, to be fair, all showrunners of Doctor Who have had that at some point, whether classic or modern.
Will a maintenance droid please report to Sector 8? Maintenance droid to Sector 8.
And I argue Moffat has actually had its own way of why he was criticized. The whole, idea of making things grandiose, trying to build mystery by having things literally going backward in direction, and having, the plot line taking way longer than it needed to, to have a big payoff at the end.
Be careful of those spotlights. They activate Zordoom's impenetrable defense system.
Decompressed storytelling.
And also his weird tendencies of something that's meant to be a big tribute to someone actually comes off really insulting. Brigadier.
Let me guess. Brings back an old character you recognize, but does something dumb with them.
Yeah, we did tell you
like I mentioned.
Yeah, we did tell you, some time ago about that.
The Brigadier, yeah. The only way you could get more insulting than that is if you brought back, Sarah Jane as a Dalek.
I was just about to say Sarah Jane Smith. In case you forgot, her actress at this point is dead, and they made sure to have the character die also in universe. So.
So basically, with the Brigadier, they made it so that someone who is honor-bound does something slimy.
Well, no, actually, again, more of a victim of circumstances. We did talk to you about, basically, to make a very long story short, too late. They put a huge retcon during the Capaldi era where, actually, no, I think it was still Max.
Well, what happened was, his actor died in 2011. And then in 2000, and they had a lovely little tribute scene in the I think it was like the last episode of that series, but Moffat couldn't really leave well enough alone, and in the final episode of the first Peter Capaldi season,
okay, then basically
Death in Heaven,
they introduced the retcon that basically. When it comes to Earth's afterlife, specifically Earth's afterlife, which basically encompasses pretty much all of the time, anyone died on Earth. The master engineer, a plan so that the souls of the dead could be tricked, and unless they were cremated, mind you, into having their bodies being used to be stuffed into Cybermen's bodies.
Oh,
well, their minds got uploaded. Their minds got uploaded into basically a cloud, and when the time was right for Missy / the Master, their bodies were turned into Cybermen, and their minds were uploaded back into the bodies.
Basically, have you ever played the game Soma?
That includes the Brigadier.
Sorry, what was that?
Have you ever played the video game Soma?
Yes.
It's worse than that.
Oh. It's like, yeah.
And it was meant to. And the worst part is that was meant to be portrayed as closure in some weird, side plot that was never brought up in the classic series. Apparently, the Brigadier always wanted the Doctor to salute him. Even though that never came up, like, at all. I mean, at no point. I've been watching some of the era where he's appeared in the most, the Third Doctor, At no point that I've seen so far has he ever come up even close to saying, "Oh, I wish the Doctor would salute me."
Basically, the origin of that job is that during the third Doctor era, they tried to make things more actionized, quote unquote, by having the Doctor actually having a war unit. That was actually pretty cool.
Well, he was a scientific advisor to units because the Time Lords exiled him to Earth. Unless, except in circumstances where they just pluck him and put him on another planet, have him do stuff, and then go back to Earth, go back to exile with him.
It was the showrunners try to do something different with the concept.
Well, I mean, and also that the show had recently transitioned to colour, and that would cost quite a bit of money. Because remember, it was when they filmed it, it was 1969. So
nice.
It broadcast in 1970.
Lovely.
Alright, we're almost in the deeper parts of the prison in order to rescue Talwyn. Seems that once again, Qwark's plan, despite the poor, explaining, actually turned out to be mostly fine. Also, Jesus, who be locked inside here? Like, is this the isolation cells? This room?
How nice that they left a hole for them to stick their arms out of to scream for help.
Hell, in terms of tributes to classic era stuff, I know this could be a bit controversial, but honestly, the best one I've seen of those is actually the 13th Doctor era's final episode.
I've heard some people have started to warm up to that one.
Yeah, basically, there's even this lovely scene in which, a few lovely scenes in which the Doctor interacts with her, with a lot of her classic past selves. And two classic era companions that were also in the story via the use of an AI hologram that the Doctor implanted stuff onto them. They got to interact with their respective Doctors. One got to interact with 5, the other with 7.
It's also worth noting something else that I didn't mention, about the presence of David Tennant again as another potential new form the Doctor took. I don't remember when it actually started, but at the very least, the Day of the Doctor special did imply that at one point the Doctor does regenerate into an older version of Tom Baker, because that's not the 4th one that he meets at the very end. So I get the idea there's like a precedent that they want to have for the sake of, being cheeky about it.
I swear Doctor Who has to be like the poster child series for retcons.
You have to understand, Jova, that by the show's own admission, continuity is more of a suggestion. Stuff will definitely happen in sequence. If you have a keen memory, you will understand how something's put into place. But by its very nature, it can have the escamotage of we can just do whatever we want and put a valid excuse about it.
In a sense, I kind of get it, since what Doctor Who was back at the time of its start is obviously different from what, newer creators wanted it to be, so I can kind of get some of these retcons, especially since for the most part the retcons don't seem to actually do harm. Mind you, ideally, they don't do harm. I've heard that there's a lot of cases where they actually do quite a bit of harm to the narrative. Needless to say, the time was child. And apparently Twin Dilemma.
Well, you guys commented on that, Jova.
Oh, a Twin Dilemma, that
I
had nothing to do
involved
with,
in that commentary, actually.
Okay.
But also, Twin Dilemma didn't really have anything to do with law breaking that much or anything. It was just a really, really shit story.
Bad first impression, Jova. That's basically what it was.
Yes, a movie that was supposed to introduce the new Doctor by having him strangle someone.
And that the episode's writer kept dragging his feet on the script to the point where one of his excuses was that his typewriter blew up.
For real?
Yeah.
How can that even work? Unless somebody rigged it to explode.
I don't know. And also they made the honestly kind of really weird decision to stick that episode right at the end of the Fifth Doctor's final season. Like literally, last episode of the Fifth Doctor 1 week, new episode for the new Doctor the next.
Was it their way of trying to mitigate the blow when they realized they might have a stinker on their hands?
I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, though. The episode that came out before Twin Dilemma, Case of Zoni, is generally considered one of the very best of the show.
It's usually...
The duality of man.
And usually, the idea is, end the season with the death of one incarnation, the regeneration at the very end, and the next season is a fresh new start, for obvious reasons.
Like how the new era has been doing it. Like whenever both a Doctor and a showrunner leave, when the Doctor regenerates, the new Doctor gets their first scene at the end of the episode, written by the incoming showrunner, like how Stephen Moffat wrote the last scene of End of Time, how Chris Chibnall wrote the last scene for Twice Upon a Time, and how Russell T Davies wrote the last scene for The Power of the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Uncredited, but it helps transition things better.
So what was your take on when they introduced bi-generation to the equation?
When I saw it, I was kind of like, oh boy, this is going to be controversial, I think.
More like... Sorry, probably should have edited it out. But
I was just wondering why. It seemed like you got that one right.
No, I need to get both, the circuit in both.
The other one. I didn't notice the one in the corner there.
One. It always depends on like that. That includes also the holiday specials. Those two tend to be polarizing, believe it or not. I tend to, in terms of ratio, I do end up liking most of them, to be honest. I don't really have any one that I particularly hate. Okay, Voyage of the Damned is just depressing, I get it, but there is a kind of a charming guilty pleasure quality to it. I don't know. Anyway, we're rescuing Talwyn. Oh, good. They actually left her jetpack and her weapon inside too.
Are you kidding? We used to do this all
they
the time
figured
back on
she
Kurlan.
wouldn't be much danger in there with them.
Wait, how did you even know we were here?
Well,
Come on,
looks like someone had eggs on his face.
I guess they feel awkward about telling her that the mystical robots that only Clank can see told
Well,
them.
the point still is that you can definitely see that Ratchet is coming around on what he said to Clank before, because, there was no way otherwise they would have known about this, so, he has to have, some sort of truth.
Although it's like you said, the robots are dicks because they
Well, the Zonis
could
are
just
not
kill
robots, so
themselves.
they are still, an alien species on their own.
Attention inmate number 979B. This is your last warning. Surrender your weapon and place your...
The Zonis are kind of dicks for not just revealing themselves.
There is a good reason for that. Again, we have to wait until the end of Quest for Booty to have a recontextualization of that. There's a reason why the Zoni are acting in this very specific way, which includes also not intervening in situations where Clank should be theoretically in danger.
Also, I see that for her dance animation, Talwyn does part of the Macarena and then does what looks like the wiggle.
Surprisingly, it wasn't the Colton. Like, everyone was starting to meme that at this point in time.
Yeah.
It still happens. If I recall correctly, it's still considered a proper taunt in the Doom multiplayer games.
Oh my goodness.
There we go.
We need to split up. I'll head to the holding chamber to free my friends. We'll radio you.
Talwyn,
Oh, yeah.
wanna give us a hand? Okay, I guess we'll go for separate ways.
I have to go save my friends.
Oh yeah, your friends. We absolutely
Zephyr.
had them in mind. Yeah, we absolutely had them in mind too when coming to rescue.
Oh. Let me just...
No thanks.
There we go. God damn it, I wanted the screen to be cracked.
It's a blast-proof TV.
It's kind of like, it's the kind of attention to detail, for example, with these in the Batman Arkham games, where you can smash the TVs, the audio will still come out, but you can actually potentially vent that frustration, which will make sense in universe.
Yep.
Speaking of that, out of curiosity, I was looking into the supplementary material, you know, the Arkham games, you know, potentially to see how if we ever get to those, you know, how much, you know, should we potentially look around. Because I did knew for a fact that even before they became, you know, very popular, there were, you know, tie-in comics to, you know, spruce up a bit the deal and expand some of the materials and tell, you know, how things got to where they were. For Arkham Asylum, it's actually, if I recall correctly, like a single issue, promotional issue, so, you know, no major harm or foul. It's with Arkham City that things start to get a bit weird. Where...
Oh yeah, they had a ton of in-between stuff.
Well, okay, no, Arkham
for
City had like 2 different miniseries going for like, I think, 6 to 12 issues each. I forgot the specific number. I mean, okay, it's a bit overwhelming, but, you know, I guess there was a bit of time in between, you know, for people to, you know, digest things. Arkham Origins is just bizarre because it has a choose-your-own-adventure comic, not even kidding. And then the tie-ins to Arkham Knight are just another thing. There's like, I think 4 or 5 different miniseries. Most of them are contained within like 6 issues, but there was one ongoing for a very long time that was something like 40 issues. I will need to look up the exact amount, but I was like, holy shit, it went on for this long? Like,
Arkham Knight.
well,
like,
again, that's regardless of the quality of the game. I'm talking about
no.
making the
I was about to
material.
Oh yeah. That's what I was about to get to. It's like Arkham Knight was a time when you can tell that Warner Brothers knew Arkham was a big moneymaker for them. Like, now obviously Arkham City showed that too. Arkham Origins, while maybe not as loved back then as it is now, still made them good bank. So, given that at the time, as far as anyone knew, Arkham Knight was going to be the end, I kind of get why they wanted to really market off of that and, you know, capitalize on it by doing as much tie-in material as they could feasibly.
There you go. First major miniseries, 39 issues between 2015 and 2016. So it had to be bi-monthly, I think. Like, you know, sorry, every 2 weeks, basically. Then a second series of 12 issues instead, you know. Then one called Batman Arkham Knight Genesis of, I think, 7 issues in total. One that is a specific tie-in to Robin, which I think it's a single issue. Another one similar for Batgirl. And 2-issue one that talks about Batgirl and Harley Quinn, I think. Again, I haven't looked into detail about this, but it's overwhelming to say the least. So needless to say, we're not really gonna look at every single thing. Maybe I'll try to look up and, you know, give a summation. Who knows?
It'll be easier for us to cover, like, you know, the comic stuff.
And besides,
with
to be honest, before I
and
told you
City,
this, if you had just the experience of the game, sure, some stuff you might have been curious on what had happened, but otherwise you were perfectly fine with most of it. So,
oh yeah, like, I mean, that's one good thing about the Arkham series. It never feels like you have to read the supplementary material. I mean, unless we're counting Suicide Squad, which... yeah, that feels like it has some stuff missing.
That's the thing also, Jova. Before Kill the Justice League video game, the stuff regarding the Suicide Squad is all completely wrong, technically, because there was the game in construction at that point, but then got cancelled for different reasons. So Origins and Origins Blanket tries to build up the Suicide Squad with Catwoman, Bane, Bronze Tiger, Deadshot, and Deathstroke. Then there was the animated movie Assault on Arkham, which uses a completely different team, and yet apparently it's still supposed to be the same continuity. And then nothing happened. Then Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League happens, and it's a complete new start, despite the fact that it's supposed to be set in the Arkham games.
Which
Yeah.
just, I mean, now to their credit, the museum does explain how it works with the Justice League and whatnot, but I've said it
Well,
before
it
and I'll
doesn't
say it again.
explain
That,
stuff like Amanda Waller's, plastic surgery to look more like Deborah Wilson. So,
oh, yeah, no. Stuff like that, no. But, like, I've said it before and I'll say it again. That could have just been its own universe rather than needing to
I mean,
add on
Gotham
the
Knight was.
baggage.
Why couldn't that be?
I don't know. That's probably something we'll just have to discuss if we ever get around to tackling that game.
In the meantime, see you for the next part where we go to Kerchwa in order to retrieve the Dimensionator, supposedly. See ya.
See you then.
Bye.